Hello friends, welcome. So great to have you here. My name is Brett from Brett Bailey Coaching, and I'm going to talk about the mind today, but really one key concept about the mind that can shift everything for you. This could be the insight that has blocked you from not being able to make progress in your therapy with your therapist, in your business with the mindset work that you do. This one insight I'm telling you could change it all. And it's the core insight. It is the core thing that needs to happen for any of the therapy or mindset work you might be doing to really work. So friends, what is it that really you need to understand when it comes to the mind? To me, it's one thing, and the word starts with D-I-S. I was thinking today, actually, we need to get distance from the mind. In psychology, they call this cognitive dissonance. I'm like, is there something with the word D-I-S? And apparently there is. I searched it up right before this. The Latin root can translate to disconnect, disperse, disagree. And this is what we need to do with our mind, especially the one disagree. I like that one a lot. Most people agree with everything that their mind says. And the core lesson I'm going to teach you here today is that as long as you keep agreeing, keep connecting, keep thinking that you are the mind and don't have that cognitive dissonance, don't have that distance, then what happens is you become those beliefs in your mind. And are beliefs always true? No, they're very rarely true. In fact, the beliefs that we choose become true for us. But most of our beliefs we chose a long time ago because of some pain in the environment or something that was going on, some experience that we had, took us, grabbed our attention, and from that experience we made a new belief. People can't be trusted. I'm unsafe. Money's hard to make. Money is stressful. Or whatever the belief might be for you. Many people I've been working with recently, the same common belief has been coming up of people can't be trusted. I avoid people. Because when you have a lot of pain with your parents, or with people at school or both, what happens is you'll start to isolate and avoid people. And before you know it, you're either a successful business guy, but you isolate after work. You can only have friends in the business context, and they're not really true friends because all you talk about is work. Or maybe you're someone who is the opposite, who just has a normal everyday job, but you don't really take the time to go socialize outside of work and go meet new people at cafes and this and that, because you have this one belief. People can't be trusted. People need to be avoided. And if that's what you believe, you start to live it. We literally live our beliefs. And so what you need to do if you're that person is you want to get distance from that thought, distance from that part of you, so you can start to work with it. Now, I came up with this idea quite recently as well. The space between the thought, we'll call this the thought, the distance between the thought and you, this is your saving ground. This is your grace. This is your, let's just call this, what should I call this? Let's call this loving, psychic, if I can say that, write that, psychic substance. This loving psychic substance is what is between you and your thoughts. So as long as you're in your thoughts, there isn't that loving psychic substance. There isn't that presence. There isn't that space between you and that mental form, that thought form, okay? And until you have that, you will believe you are your thoughts. You will live out the belief people can't be trusted. You will live out the belief money is hard to make. And as long as you're in thought and not having that distance or dissonance from thought, you will keep living out those beliefs unconsciously. And so many people, when they go into doing therapy work or mindset work, they're actually thoughts trying to change thoughts. And they go around in a circle and a circle and a circle. Because when you're the ego trying to change the ego, it's like when you're the angry part of you trying to get the sad, hurt part of you to get their shit together. Like let's say there's a part of you who's lazy because you're just sad and you're hurting. Then there's this angry critic in there who's like, hey, get your shit together. Come on, mindset work harder, just do it. Money's easy to make, money's easy to make. When you're the ego trying to change the ego, trying to do affirmation work, no go. You got to get some of this loving psychic substance in there. You got to disconnect and have enough distance for a long enough time. That's the other key. You can't just have distance for a moment. You got to be able to sit in that distance. Sit in that distance, and the more loving psychic substance, the more presence will start to become into your reality. It'll come into that process that you're in, whether it's therapy or mindset work, etc. Okay? Hope this makes sense for lots of you. So then the question becomes, well, if it's so important to disconnect, to disperse, to disagree with those thoughts, how do you do it? How do you do it? I think a good starting point is to become aware of the thought. To become aware of the thought. How do you become aware of the thought? You can do a lot of things to become aware of the thought, but I don't know how else to say it except you notice it. Okay, you just notice that it is a thought. And so you can start to say things like, it's a thought, but it's not me. It's a thought, not me. Or it's just a thought. It's just a thought. It's a thought, and a thought can be changed. It's just a thought. I can handle this thought. It's a thought. Now, when you start to say these types of things repeatedly, you start to create that distance. You start to become subject and object. You start to say, I'm not that thought. I see the thought. I'm aware of the thought. The more you're aware of the thought and noticing it, the more you're becoming present. The more of this loving psychic substance you start to gain. And the more of this loving psychic substance you start to gain, it becomes very natural to shift beliefs to ones that are more harmonious for your life, for your relationships, for money. When you have more of this loving psychic substance, now your thoughts become an agent for healing and companionship and not an agent for separation and avoidance. Because when you're identified with your thoughts, they're usually very stressful thoughts. They're usually not positive thoughts. Stressful thoughts keep you very separate from people, separate from God, separate from all things good. Because they're stressed, trying to survive, separation. I'm me, I'm this tiny little ego. I am a thought. And when you believe I am a thought, I am an ego, you become separate because all thoughts are just divisive. They're division. They're hard cut saying this is what I am. I am this small self that believes I'm unworthy. I'm this small self who's hurting. I'm this small self who's a victim. I'm this small self who's been wounded in the past from a past relationship or something. I'm the small self. And that's why you need to have that dispersion, that disconnection, that disagreement with that unhelpful thought. And these can be very, very insidious. There's people I know that are in the spiritual community that are very identified with their thoughts. People in the Christian community, I'm sorry Christians, I see a lot of you deeply identified with your own belief systems. And you're like, no, I'm a Christian. And you know, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is unholy. What you're doing is a sin. And they're actually just judging people. Even though it might be true what they're doing is a sin, missing the mark from God, doing things that take you away from God, I believe is the definition, the real definition. But they're still in judgment. You're Christians judging other people. It doesn't make you a better Christian to judge other people for not being as Christian as you, which many Christians are. Many Christians are. And by the way, Christians, if you're watching this, I know your intentions are pure. I know you have a real experience and connection with your Creator, I'm sure. But when you push like that, when you judge other people, you actually push people away from what God really wants you to do, I believe, which is to bring more people to Jesus. Okay? I can't tell you how many people have pushed people away, me away, because it's just like it's distasteful. It's like no one wants to be told what, no soul wants to be told what to do. So anyways, even the Christians out there, the holy Christians, need to learn how to disconnect, disperse, disagree. To me, one of the coolest things ever is to talk to a Christian who has belief in their Creator and lives what they believe, not just speaks it, but lives it, but doesn't expect other people to believe what they believe. To me, that is one of the coolest people in the world. When you can be that intense as a Christian and live it, but to really respect other people's beliefs, not just giving them word service, but internally respect their beliefs. Not do the external, trying to show that you're a good Christian, but inside you're attached to your own ego, judging them. And that's my challenge to Christians. I know people that, because they know how to connect to this loving psychic substance, they know how to create distance from their thoughts, from their ego, they are 10 times more spiritual than a Christian who's been a Christian their whole life. Because when you're connected to this loving psychic substance, I would say that is God. That, not saying, for the Christians out there who are like, we are not God. God is something other than us. It is God-like, this loving psychic substance. This loving psychic substance is God-like, and it's naturally healing, naturally loving, naturally compassionate, naturally interested, naturally courageous, and naturally a leader and confident when you need to be. Being spiritual, having this loving psychic substance become part of your life, it does not mean that you bow down and surrender to the horrifying things that you see. It doesn't mean that you treat everything with love and light. Sometimes it means having clear boundaries and saying no, but it's from a place of clarity and presence, not from a place of fighting back or a place of fearfulness if they reject me. But just no, no, no. Clear no, a clear no. Clear no's feel so good. Okay, so coming back to this. The whole idea in this video is how can you disconnect? How can you disperse? How can you disagree with your thoughts? So the first step is you become aware of it. And to take that a step further, you can start to question that thought. Is it really true that people are unsafe? Is it really true that people need to be avoided? Is it really true? Byron Katie said the only bad thought is the thought that goes unquestioned. Now, most egos, when you're questioning thoughts, will actually try to hold on to their own beliefs, right? You know, is it really true that people can't be trusted? Yes, of course it's true. Look at what happened a year ago with my ex. Look what happened when I was a child, my freaking mom and dad. How could I trust people after what happened to me? That's again the ego. So you want to again disconnect, disperse, disagree with even those thoughts. So when you say, is it really true? You might have a voice saying, yes, it's true. Then you'll have to say it again. Is it really true? Come on, is it really true? And what you'll find is no thought can be absolutely true, because thoughts by their very nature are just one little fragment, one perception of reality. Reality is much more than that. So you want to learn how to open your focus, open yourself to that there can be more to reality, truth, than just what I think. And that to me is an incredible level of spiritual maturity as a being. But funny enough, many adults can't even do that. So once you ask, is this true? And hopefully you get really good at it. It's a practice. You keep practicing. Is that really true? Is it true? And you'll find out it's not. And if you believe it is, you can hold on to that belief, but just know it's a belief. It's just a thought. And thoughts to me are like clothes. Beliefs are like clothes you can take on and off. Now some clothes you really want to wear because you really like the way they look. Like certain Christian beliefs, these might be really good beliefs to have. You want to wear those clothes and keep wearing them because you like the way it feels. You like the results it creates in your life. It makes you feel a sense of connection and community. That's all wonderful, but it's still just clothes. It's still just beliefs. It's still just thoughts. And it's good to be able to create distance, okay? Now, hopefully at this point in this YouTube video, which by the way, if you're here watching this still, I commend you because you're really taking this in. I appreciate that. If you're still here and you're wondering, well, is that really going to work for me? Because you're probably starting to get the idea of creating distance and dissonance from your thoughts. But you're like, man, I'm so aware of all my shit. There's many of you that are, I'm so aware of all my shit, but all that awareness is still causing me to stay in this cycle. Well, if you have awareness, but you don't have a change, you're probably not doing the next step I'm going to offer you, which is breaking the pattern or changing the pattern of thought. So once you become aware of the thought and you're in this beautiful, loving psychic substance, you develop that a little bit. You're developing the muscle of getting distance. The more you become, the more you lean away from those thoughts, the more you're leaning towards this loving psychic substance. The more you lean away from those thoughts and create distance, the more you automatically are leaning towards your true nature, you. This loving psychic substance that you are. But then there's a next step, because I've worked with guys who they're very aware, almost too aware of their shit. Who here has heard someone constantly say, oh, I know exactly what I need to change. I know precisely what I need to change. I'm a genius. I know all my trauma. I know when I'm going to get triggered. At 3 p.m. I'm going to get pissed off. At 6 p.m. I'm going to get mad at my wife. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be depressed. Who here knows someone who knows exactly what they're going to get triggered, what their childhood wounding was, why they have attachment pain, why they have bad relationships? They could tell you the whole story. On and on and on and on and on. But they never change. Why? Because they don't have the loving psychic substance. There's two in their head. They're so aware. They're so in their head. The process of becoming aware of these thoughts doesn't mean to think about these thoughts. It means to become aware of those thoughts. Awareness in the words I'm using here is not a mental form. It is that which is not a form. It's formless, the formless part of your being. So if you find yourself being aware of everything but not changing, or not having it help you, it means you're not actually truly present in this loving psychic substance. It means you're a thought looking at a thought. Okay, I hope this makes sense. This is really the core of what I'm trying to teach you guys today. But it's hard to talk about because the words I'm using are thoughts. These words won't teach you. The best they can do is point you to the experience of your presence, your being, which I experience as this very light, formless, really like milky, silky energy all around me. It's at least how I'm feeling it in this moment. But it's very, very light. You'll notice mental forms have a hardness to them. Just like your physical form, it's the most hard, it's the slowest vibrating. Your mental forms are vibrating much faster, but they're still forms and there's a hardness to them. Where this formless part of you has quite a lightness to it. And that's why the more you connect to your soul, the more you connect to this loving psychic substance, the happier you get, the lighter you become, the more lifted you feel. It's said that enlightenment is the same as ordinary everyday life, just 2 inches off the ground. It's just a lightness. It's a lightness that's there. And so the more you connect to your soul, the more you connect to this beautiful, loving psychic substance, the more your whole life gets imbued with it. And so you want to watch, when do I need to disconnect? What are the thoughts taking me away from this loving psychic substance, right? Okay. So if you're finding yourself with that awareness, one thing that really helps, I've found, is a word called movement. Physical movement really helps to break apart patterns. Like if you find yourself stressed or upset, go walk for 30 minutes in nature, or just go walk for 30 minutes with no stimulation, you will come back not feeling stressed and angry most likely, unless you're in your head the whole time perpetuating the stress and anger. So movement, whether it's dance or whether it's martial arts or whether it's just 2 minutes to take a breath, that can just kind of shake the mind up a bit, shake the snow globe of your mind up where you're not so rigid anymore, and can stop those patterns from firing and firing and firing, ruminating, fixating on something negative, on what's not good in your life, on what that person did to you, on what you're afraid will happen in the future. It can shake up all that enough for a few moments to give you space to choose a positive thought, to say, I'm going to find a way to make my life work, to say, even though I've been hurt in the past, I'm going to open my heart up again because God damn it, I want to live. I want to live my life before I die. I don't want to sit in fear. I don't want to stay in fear. I want to live. Even though my business hasn't been where I wanted it to in the last few years, I can find a way to make it different. I know I can. If I just believe and I align my energy and I focus and I keep building skills and I keep getting better, I know I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way. And all of a sudden, you start to say those new thoughts, you get into a new energy. Your vibration starts to lift. When your vibration lifts, your life starts to reflect that back, if not instantly, eventually. And so this is the process, my friends, of becoming aware, getting back to that loving psychic substance with dissonance, and then choosing new powerful thoughts that create high vibrations. And in those vibrations, my friends, you know what to do. A common objection is like, well, I don't know what to do. Trust me, get into the elevated vibration, you will know what to do. You will not be doubting. You will feel certain. You will feel confident. You will feel loving. You will feel the energy you need to influence people, to persuade people, to connect with people, to build your product, to put creativity into your work, to be there and show up as a husband or a great boyfriend in your relationship. You will have the energy, but you got to disconnect first. You got to get that distance first. And once you do, you can come back to that loving psychic substance that is you and move yourself to a better reality. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. It's getting me fired up. So that is the process, my friends. I hope you really heard me today and are inspired to begin to really take some action on this and create that dissonance. Okay, so for those of you that want to learn how to do this better, just stay followed to my channel here, subscribe, and start to put this into practice. Start to question your thoughts, start to move your body and shake up that energy, create that distance enough for a long enough time that loving psychic substance start to accumulate inside of you. When you do that, my friend, your whole life will start to shift. So, thank you. I hope you guys really heard me today. Thanks so much for watching. And I can't wait to keep connecting with you all and see you on the next video. Lots of love, friends. Have a good one.